this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the JND383 small squares to make a very sweet and simple little 5-inch card, just using beautiful white on white. And the small squares have been sized to match with the John Next Door layering dies from 2023. So that has the same loops around them. So if you've got the 4, 5 or 6-inch set, or all three of them, these will continue those sets on of the squares. There's obviously a circle version as well, which continues on the circle. There isn't a rectangle set, just circles and squares, because they work best when they're shrunk down. So what we're going to do is to start by making just a simple frame using these. So I'm going to use the largest die from the set. I'm going to use the largest dotted die, and I'm going to use the plain from the middle size. So the plain one is actually just around 2 inches. So we're using a sort of 2-inch middle and a 3-inch outer. So we're going to take a long piece of tape and we're going to pick up the center die. We're then going to position that evenly to pick up the dotted line, and then evenly to pick up the outside. And if you put this into a square of card, I've got here a 4.5 by 4.5 inch square. If we cut those together, it will actually give you a beautiful frame for another card as well. So I'm just going to run that through so that you can see it. So I'm using my Kaleido, but these will fit through any A5 die cutting machine at all. So I'm just running that through off camera, just because I want you to see what you can actually achieve with the actual spare piece rather than having a piece already cut. So we bring that in, we have those, but when we take that out, you can see there you have a perfect little frame, which again you could use on a 5x5 card and give yourself, so don't think about it as waste, that's another option that's available. So I would take that out of the die. Obviously I've got one already cut here, and this is what we get. We get this absolutely beautiful frame with all that detail around it and that beautiful stitch line on there. So what we're now going to do is we're going to pop that onto our card. So we're just going to pop that on nice and evenly. We're not doing anything to the card back. You could add embossed panels or things like that onto this, but I love the sort of simplicity of this. It's very sort of clean and simple. What I'm going to do is position this again in the bottom right hand corner. So we're keeping all the interest there and leaving some white spaces. That's very, very attractive on cards. It leads your eye in. So the next thing we're going to cut are the 2 smaller dies. So I'm going to cut the frame from the 1 inch, and I'm also going to cut the smaller plain again with the detailed die. So again, take a longer piece of tape, pick up that little stitch line, pick up the other die. So I've got both together, put those on. Actually, if I put that way, it'll tape that one down. And we run that through and we cut that, which will give us then a beautiful little panel and one to fit on there. And what I've done already is just stamped in smoky grey, excuse me, a little sentiment wishing you a special birthday. Again, excuse me. So I'm just going to put some foam tape on here. So I've got foam tape on this one. I'm going to put foam tape on this one and just pop that into the center, so we're keeping all of that detail. I'm then going to add a little bit of foam tape onto here. So again, I'm using a 2mm foam tape, so it's not too deep. So just going to pop a little bit into the center of there, and we'll just cut that. So just 2 pieces, so it's nice and even and it keeps it nice and flat. And then we're going to pop that into the center. There we go. And then to decorate that, I've just cut some of the pieces from the daisy circle, which is in the same set. And in here, I've got just 3 of the flowers with dewdrops in the middle and a little bit of the foliage. So I'm simply going to use some of my glue glaze, as I find that's easier for really fine detail work. And again, I'm keeping to this bottom right hand corner, so we're keeping all the interest in one place so your eye is drawn to it. Don't be afraid of blank space, honestly, on any card. The more blank space there is, the more attractive the card is, as your eye doesn't have to go to 2 or 3 different places. You're giving it a focus, so there we go. So we've just got our little bit on there. But what I'm also going to do is I've got 2 more of the little leaves, and I'm going to tuck those in so they're sort of floating over that gap, so that you're actually seeing the difference in the distance between them. So again, a little bit of glue glaze, as it's easier when we're doing this. Again, I'm just going to tuck that in and leave that so it's floating over that space. It gives a lot of really nice relief and shadow. And then simply adding the flowers, again just in white with a little craft artist dewdrop in the centre. So 2 there, and I'm going to add one of the smaller ones just here in that centre panel there. So we're keeping everything focused around this bottom right hand corner. Again, you could put it in the centre, but I love that little offset there. A beautiful sweet card just in a 5x5 card blank, all white on white.